From basement shows to the bands you love, 1 hour, no rules, you're listening to Riot Reverie Radio on Radio Garden State. I'm your host, Elena, and today's guest has been writing and releasing music since before most people were even old enough to vote. Best known as the voice and guitarist of the Flatliners, Chris Cresswell has spent more than 2 decades helping shape one of the most respected punk bands to emerge from Toronto, Canada in recent years. From basement shows in the GTA to stages around the world, the Flatliners have built a catalog defined by melody, energy, and emotional weight while continuing to evolve with every record. Their latest release, Cold World, feels like a band still pushing forward without losing what made people connect with them in the first place. We're going to get into all of that today, the early days, the evolution of the band, and of course their new record. So let's get into it. I tend to credit a lot of my tastes to one specific family member, which is my cousin.
Okay.
And for you, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had heard that, you do credit your older brother with kind of introducing you to a lot of punk music. And so I was just curious because for me, there's sort of 2 waves of how my taste sort of formulated. So for you, when you're super young, you're kind of just listening to whatever you're listening to. And then there's usually that one person that's like, dude, here's this stuff. So how did that sort of happen for you as a kid, I guess? I'm curious.
I think the discovery of a lot of that stuff, of punk music, happened at the same time for my brother and I. My brother Andrew's 3 years older than me, and he would bring home skate videos. A lot of like Mac Dog videos, a lot of like Girl and Chocolate videos, just like skate videos. And we would watch them together, and the soundtracks were always unreal. It was either always like really cool hip hop or really cool punk together though, which was very special. And we just like kind of went full rabbit hole on like figuring out who these bands were. And lucky for us, this was the early 90s. So a lot of the punk was like all the Fat and Epitaph stuff. So it was growing up in the 90s for any kind of music, you're stoked. The same could probably be said for every era, but just, like music videos are on TV. They're playing rock music on the radio. They're playing punk on the radio. I was particularly excited about like just being kind of enveloped in this stuff. And it all stemmed from these skate videos and these snowboard videos that my brother and Andrew and I would watch together. And they would come with, eventually, some of them would come with a CD soundtrack. So that was huge. And like the disc face of the CD was always the full track listing, band, song title, everything. So it was like just this little way into that world that we just like every skate video we got, there was a different No Use for a Name song on this one. There was a different Bad Religion song on this one. There was a No Effect song on this one. There was a Beastie Boys song on this one. There was a Tribe Called Quest song on that one. It was just like kind of overwhelming, but we were kids, so we had the mental stamina to withstand this excitement. And it just put us on a bit of a mission, honestly. And then as I kind of like really latched onto punk, my brother kind of moved more into hip hop, but that was cool because then I got more into Tribe and more into Beastie Boys and more into Wu-Tang and stuff like that. But he really went in that direction. And I, as much as I was curious about it, really started to like dig deeper into punk. And through all that, I think the first band I ever really like chose for myself, because I would like see the videos on TV and I would hear the songs on the radio, was Rancid. Like I don't remember how, like, it would have been like a leading up like a month to Out Come the Wolves coming out, but like the singles were everywhere. And then my mom took me to the mall in our hometown and I got Out Come the Wolves the day it came out on tape. I still have that tape.
Nice.
So that's why that was the first one I chose for myself. Cause like I went out and I was like, I want to get this record. And I just listened to it. I can't believe the tape like didn't snap. Like I've listened to it so many times. It's a very important record for me. And, I'm just grateful that like everyone has that person, like you're saying. It's really special for me that it was my brother. My brother's gone on to, he's still into music. Like he's like, he's like a DJ now. He's been for years. Yeah. So, so he's like more ingrained in that world. And I went full tilt into, playing a guitar every day of my life.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think those gateway bands are so important. And I've just been fascinated, like throughout the years too, every time I do talk to musicians, like I've got such a love of music, but I don't play music.
Yeah.
And it's funny in that punk sphere, especially for our age range, right? It's
Yeah.
either like Green Day was a big one,
Yeah.
Rancid was huge.
Yeah.
And then there's a plethora of other bands like Bad Religion and, obviously Hot Water and
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, no, that's incredible. So that's really cool to hear. I guess what's interesting for me too, as I sort of kept diving, it was like I went from the Flatliners to your solo stuff too. And there were a few songs that I listened to. And again, this is just my sort of what I was filtering in. It was like I could hear, which I thought was so crazy to me, but it was like Jeff Buckley. I
Oh,
could
cool.
hear Richard Ashcroft a
Oh,
little.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So again, I was like curious to know kind of outside of punk too, because I know at the Sing Us Home Fest you were sporting a television
Yeah.
shirt,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which I love that band as well. And so I was curious, like, I think for any musician, I don't think you just live and breathe, that one genre. You're pulling from a number of other places. So do you find that you gravitate to, whether it be rap or hip hop, or do you like
Mhm.
what sort of filters through you to kind of then output, how you're putting out music into the world?
It's an interesting question because I feel like at a certain point in my life, being like, young days of the band starting, of the Flatliners starting, we were just like all into punk. Like we did grow up in the era of nu metal and we did grow up in the era of rap rock and all this stuff. And we love that stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe we still do, but
No
it was
shame.
just like we then like kind of set our sights on and just fully ingrained ourselves in this world of like punk rock and ska punk and hardcore and all this stuff, right? And then you spend all your formative teenage years playing shows, which we did, and then touring right out of high school, which we did. You're really just like seeing so much of the world, but musically you're seeing like, I don't know, like a certain percentage of it. You know what I mean? You're not seeing the full scope. Now, within the certain percentage we're seeing and we're traveling through, we're playing with punk bands, we're playing with ska bands, we're playing with, New York style, like crack rock steady bands, we're playing with hardcore bands, we're playing with metal bands. So like it is still pretty, just like there's a bit of a mix to everything, which is nice. It's not like you're playing with the same band every night,
Mhm.
but there's still so much music out there, right?
Yeah.
But it was hard for us as teenagers to kind of like get our heads above water and kind of be like, yeah, I'm going to put Wilco on in the van today. You know what I mean? Like that just took time for whatever reason. But that's one of the bands. Like, they kind of, I mean, you have, Jeff Tweedy's coming from Uncle Tupelo and it's kind of like punk garage, like cowboy punk, whatever you want to call it. Like he kind of morphs that into Wilco and it's a little more easy listening, incredible musicianship. You can tell these guys fucking love the Beatles.
Mhm.
Who doesn't? And then it just kind of like at the age I got into a band like that, for instance, it rewires something where I'm like, oh yeah, like the Beatles and ELO and Bob Dylan and all this stuff that these guys, this band that's been around forever and I'm just discovering in Wilco, these guys love, those acts. That's the stuff I heard my mom listening to when I was a kid.
Oh,
So it
wow.
just does this full circle thing. And I guess my point is like, no music is off the table, right? It's just like you need to dig for it maybe sometimes. It maybe depends on your mood, what you want to listen to. There's a kind of music for every kind of mood out there.
Mhm.
So it might surprise people that in the last few weeks I've been listening to a lot of Afro beat.
Nice.
Um, Specifically like Dorothy Ashby's Afro harping record, which is like so sick.
Mhm.
And I've been like doing a really big deep dive on the Tragically Hip again.
Mm.
I mean, they're one of my favorite bands, but I just like every little while I just kind of go down a rabbit hole and like just crank up the whole discography for like a week
Yeah.
solid. And then just, I
Yeah.
tend to do that. So like, that's kind of the thing. Like the television shirt, the influence on the solo stuff, like I'm lucky that I have an outlet where like all of that can come out somehow and like all of that can go in and I can beat it around in my brain and then it can all come out making sense maybe,
Yeah.
it's it's the best. Like it it's rare that I'm like listening to a punk beat 8 hours a day. You know what I mean? Maybe for 1 hour of the day, but it's just like, I don't know. There's so much music out there and I feel like it all serves some kind of purpose and it's different for everyone. So that part's exciting.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, especially, I mean, one, you're so well traveled, and I think for myself too, coming from Toronto, and there's a very defined time for me in Toronto because I left probably around the time that the Flatliners formed,
Okay.
right? So when I was leaving, it was very late 90s, very early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so Grade was huge,
Yep.
Jersey was huge. I had met Joel Carrier, who was,
Cool.
promoting Alexis on Fire, and
Yeah.
so I left, and then a number of years later, it was like this another wave of your band, all of those bands that I was listening to and seeing at smaller bars that just like blew up. And so, and then with that, being in the US and then, landing wherever I was at, there's that scene there. So what's filtering for other people, it's just so beautiful to me, really, at the end of the day. Like just, people are just kind of a conduit, for where
Yeah.
you're or your travels and things like that. So it's very interesting to hear kind of your influences and, especially hearing the hip hop background with your brother, because I too am a
Yeah.
massive fan. I live, eat, sleep, breathe like rap, hip hop, punk, ska,
Yeah.
dance hall, you name it. I love it all. And so yeah, so it's really neat. So
Well, there's like everyone wants to have punk claim the DIY crown of it all, which like maybe in certain respects it does, but
mhm,
hip hop really does in a
right.
lot of ways. You know what I mean? And like I just think hip hop influences everything. I feel like these days like hip hop, hardcore music and skateboarding kind of influence a lot of like just even if you're talking like global like fashion culture and stuff like that, like so much of what's going on now can be tied to like 90s skateboarding, which influenced or maybe pulled from 90s hardcore and
Yep.
hip hop and all this stuff. And it's just like they're these like tastemakers that like not in a gross way, you know what I mean, that just like
Yeah.
people that are cool are into cool shit. And that those three things I feel like are like the things that everything else kind of pulls from.
Hmm.
And with punk, I mean, I think most of it is just like doing whatever the fuck you want, be a good person, don't be a piece of shit.
Hmm.
But like the musical umbrella of punk is massive. Like it's so hard to define now, but I like that about it. That's
Yeah.
exciting. It's not just like your band plays fast music. You're a punk band. You plug in your instruments and the drummer goes fast and there's someone yelling. You're punk. It can be that, which is cool, but it can be so many other things. And I mean, this last tour we just did, the day after the Sing Us Home Festival, we met up with a Wilhelm Scream and Signals Midwest. You put our band with those two bands, you have three very different bands. They're
Hmm.
all punk bands, and they all work really well together. Even at Sing Us Home, like Dave's like worked his ass off to get to this point. You know what I mean? Through roadieing for bands, the loved ones, his solo stuff, and it was just him and a guitar, and then him and his brother Tim, and now he's got this badass band, and like
Yeah.
they're kind of a punk band. You know what I mean? It's cool, and I don't know. It's really cool to see the reach and like how everyone is just down to like meaning like the artists and the fans that like make all that stuff worthwhile. Everyone's kind of willing to like take a chance because at the end of the day, it's just music.
Yeah.
Like, what's the big
Yeah.
deal if you try some shit that like no one likes it? You're like, okay, well, maybe we'll do something else. But like, it feels good for me, and it's like it's just we're literally playing music. It's called playing music, so we're here to have some fun. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I never understood like the like I only like this kind of stuff or this. I mean, you can't help your tastes, but you can try to expand your horizons too. There's a lot
Yeah.
out there for you to enjoy, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm very much that way as well, where it's like, even like, I'm a quintessential like 90s kid where it's like, we're not going to sell out. And I was the
Right,
one
right, right.
there where I'm like, fuck that. Like, if a label's going to give me like $1 million to make a killer record, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
groceries are going to be really expensive one day, and
Right.
everything else will be too. So maybe we need this. Yeah.
Right. And I think it just like, I sort of always have surrounded myself with musicians and artists and things like that. And it's like, what? I don't want to be a starving artist. Like, fuck that shit. Like, it's great to be romantic about it. But at
Sure,
the
of
end of
course.
the day, like, yeah, I do like food.
It's just it's such a funny thing where like if you see someone who works their ass off in their job, right?
Mhm.
And say they're just like they work a trade and they work their ass off, and you see this is a person you've known forever, maybe out of school they got into the trades, and then you run into them 5 years later, and they're like, and you've been keeping tabs, and you're
Mhm.
finally catching up, and you're like, damn, and you're really working your ass off, like looks like it's paying off. You know what I mean? And then like for some reason artists aren't afforded that same level of just like self-assuredness. And
Yeah.
just like it's not that you have to be, it's not that in that moment there's an arrogance to it. It's just like the truth being like, yeah, I'm working my ass off over here. Wouldn't it be nice
Yeah.
if I was rewarded the same way someone who works their ass off in a trade could be? I know it's different work. I'm not trying to compare the two really, but like just the work ethic of it all and
Hmm.
just how, I mean, you need running water. You know what I mean? Like you also like, I don't know if you need music, but I think you need music. You know what I
I
mean?
think
Like we as people need like art in some way. I don't understand the argument or the stance where people are like, yeah, I don't really listen to music, or like looking at that painting doesn't make me feel any way. I'm like, it could be, it could make you feel bored. It's
right.
okay if you don't feel excitement, but it is making you feel a kind of way. So I'm not at all trying to draw a comparison between the two necessarily, but I just think like for different reasons, these are both like viable things. And it just, at this point, I think just because I've been doing it so long, like the harder I work at something, I want to get better at it. And like,
Yeah.
I just want it to work out. Cause if not, it's too late for me to do anything else. I'm in deep here. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. No, well, yeah.
I'm in pretty deep
Well,
here.
I mean, come on, the reality is like, yeah, of course, but I think you've also, I think it's safe to say that you've had some pretty great success with the projects and the band.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
no,
Yeah. But just in that mentality, you know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
like why put yourself in that pit of like, no, well, I'm an artist, so like I gotta struggle. I'm like, mate, that's gonna be part of it. That's
mhm,
regardless of your outcome or your upbringing or the amount of effort you want to put into it, struggle will be a part of it. But like,
yeah.
let's make it let's make it rewarding for people that are putting themselves out there.
Yeah. Well, I guess that leads me into another question then for you of, I mean, because I'm just like I'm always curious about a lot of different things, but I think regarding music, so it's sort of that launching point. You guys have started. There is that struggle, right?
Yeah.
Like you're this new band. I've always found Toronto to be very collaborative. We've talked
Hmm.
about that a little bit earlier. So for the Flatliners, I mean, for you guys, were you pretty well received early on, and what did that look like for you guys compared to maybe now where you guys have built this out and you've traveled the world and you've had success and you've landed on great labels and so on and
Yeah.
so on. Like, I guess, do you ever sit with that? Like, do you sit and like kind of almost say like, shit, like this is pretty amazing? Or is it
Yeah.
like, ooh, so glad to be here? Like, forget
It's a bit
that.
of both. It's a bit of both. I mean, honestly, the only reason it would be like glad to be here and like not thinking harder than that about it is because like this kind of way of living is doesn't relent. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're kind of moving and shaking all the time. It doesn't leave a lot of time to process stuff, good stuff or bad stuff.
Okay.
If you're on the road, there's always another not issue to solve, but like maybe, you know what I mean? You're traveling. There's always another place to get to, another show to set up for, to tear down from, this to plan, that to get, that plane ticket to buy. I don't know. It's there's always something to do. Not only unique to music, but that's my experience with it at least. But I do these days think a lot more than I used to about like kind of just I don't know, just like being grateful for it all. Like kind of looking around and be like, shit, like what else do we do? You know what I mean? I don't know. We were received pretty well early on. We started playing shows in Newmarket, Ontario and Richmond Hill, where three of the four of us grew up. And then we would kind of like, we slowly made our way down the DVP to the city, to Toronto, and started playing shows there. And like, yeah, like we got lucky. Like for our first several shows, like people seemed excited. People seemed that like they wanted to get involved. Also, the benefit of growing up in Southern Ontario, it's similar to the Northeast of the US where like, or like a lot of Europe, honestly, where like you don't have to drive far to get to the next place to play for a whole new group of people.
Yeah.
At this point, we're playing to 50, if that, new people a night. But like,
Yeah.
you could drive half an hour down the road, different town, different people, different town, different people. Do that every weekend in high school, and that's essentially what we did. And it got to the point where we were like booking Thursday night shows and not really going to school Friday, and like maybe playing Sunday night too, and really not going to school Monday.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's like just what we wanted to do. And once we finished school, like we like really made a go at like touring, and like that's when we got a bit of a reality check because we're like, oh, not everywhere is kind of de facto home turf advantage. Even if we were in Kitchener, we're not from far away. right?
Right.
Like being from a Toronto burb. So like there's still a bit of like you're celebrating. If you're going to that early Kitchener show for a band that's from the burbs of Toronto, you are still celebrating and helping like a local-ish band,
Yeah.
ish, right? Whereas like when we get on tour and the first tour we ever did, we played in Ottawa, played Peterborough, played Ottawa, both places we'd been before. And then we went to Montreal for a weekend, did not have a show, spent all of our money, and then kept driving to New Brunswick and played in a pizza place in Edmundston, New Brunswick. And the only people that were there were our friend from Ottawa and her parents. And they were on a driving to the Maritimes holiday and didn't even know we were playing. They literally just happened to stop at the same pizza restaurant that we were playing. And that was the entire audience. So it was a total fluke that anyone was there. And then like, I think we canceled the rest of the tour after that and went home because we had no money.
Yeah.
So like we had these roadblocks, you know what I mean? But yeah, like the support at home was big.
Well, it's okay. So then at what point did you guys kind of sit with yourselves and say, all right, like we've been an opening band, we're doing all these things, and then all of a sudden it's just like we're on these major tours, and headline at some point too, right? So when did that kind of shift into, yeah, like this is a reality, like this is kind of our life now? When did that happen for you?
That was like in our brains, that happened the moment we finished high school. That happened even on that first tour. You know what I mean? Where we like stopped early and went home early. But really, a couple years into touring is when we like really started kind of seeing it work. Like I want to say that it was around the time we signed to Fat, which would have been for our second album, The Great Awake. So many growing pains and teachable moments occurred when Stomp Records gave us this huge opportunity as kids right out of high school and like reissued our first record in stores, signed the band, all this stuff. That was for the summer of 2005, right? So our first Stomp were the best because they were there for like our firsts, you know what I mean? And they were just like, it's all good. You canceled that first tour. It's all good. We'll do another one. And then, when we signed to Fat, Stomp was still involved in Canada with that record. And then Fat, put the record out everywhere else. And that's a huge leg up. Like we were 19 years old when we signed to that label when that first record on Fat came out, our second record. And, we had a lot of people like looking at the logo on the back of our CD and seeing the Fat logo and being like, I know what this sounds like, or I don't care what this sounds like. And I'm going to support this label. There's a built-in crew demographic of people that would like support your band if you were on that label. So that was huge. And then also lucky for us, typically when you sign to Fat, you go on tour with No Effects for a while. So that shows, I suppose, other bands out there, like these kids, these 19-year-old kids can be trusted. They're maybe not going to annoy the hell out of you because they're on tour with No Effects. And, No Effects might not suffer any fools. They might suffer some fools, you know what I mean? But like they taught us a lot and they were very generous. And it's just like, we basically hit the road with them for 2 years.
Yeah. I mean,
went almost everywhere.
Yeah, they don't fuck around. I've seen them times and even like close quarters, kind of seeing them get on stage and the whole bit. And it's just like, it's fascinating because they've been doing it for a very long time, like yourself. But, they sort of have this like, what's the word I'm looking for? This lore around.
Yeah, there is a lore. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think too, I agree with everything you said. I've seen other bands that have gotten signed in recent years, and I've been at some events, and like I was at the Punk and Drublic tour in Richmond, Virginia, and my mind is spacing on the band, but they're a younger band, and they had just signed, and so they were just fucking excited to be there. They're on this tour with No Effects, Bad Religion, The Interrupters. It was just like a killer lineup, right?
Yeah.
And but it was interesting because I think, like I see certain bands, so like the Interrupters, which are on Epitaph, it's like, okay, like they're professional, man. Like from start to finish, they're not looking crazy on the side of the stage when other bands are out. They weren't drinking, like none of it. And then other bands, it's new and novel, so they're like, first big tour.
So I mean, yeah, of course,
but there's no harm, no foul. But yeah, no, I can see how that sort of, it just gives you like that street cred, as the kids say, right?
That's the thing, like, but between the first album being reissued on Stomp and us starting to tour, there were years of us being like the band that would open for the Suicide Machines. They were like really the first band that gave us a shot opening for them at the Toronto stop of their tour. Big D and the Kids Table, the Planet Smashers. That's how the Stomp Records thing with the connection was kind of made, because Matt, the singer of Planet Smashers, run the Stomp with Mike McGee and a bunch of other great people. Voodoo Glow Skulls, Mustard Plug, like all those like ska punk bands, because our first record's essentially like a Suicide Machines fucking tribute album. I mean, we love that band still, and we're touring with them at the end of this year. It's gonna be sick. Those bands were like giving us the opportunity of like, come out with us for this weekend of shows, come out with us for this week of shows, and then those couple years on Stomp, like we get to tour elsewhere with those bands. We got to do a tour with the Loved Ones, and Catch 22 was a very important one for us early on. We had all these bands kind of really taking a chance on us, truly. And then you get the Fat thing and you get the No Effects thing, and that kind of becomes this like cosign. Like it's a stamp of approval almost for a lot of people to see, like, this band is young and hungry and on tour with fucking No Effects. So they would probably come on tour with us too. And then we went on tour with everybody after that.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like your trajectory, like, it's wild. I mean, it's wild. And by contrast to other Toronto bands that I've known for a number of years too, like, it's a very different arc.
Sure.
So it's almost just like, and not to go without saying, of course, it's like fucking boatload of talent. Because if you're not talented, whatever. I mean, you're just another band. And I've seen them, right? Like, you can get on a big tour, but you're not, like, nothing really happens. It's just like, you can just say, hey, I went on that tour. But with you guys, the consensus for the day that I will share with you from the Sing Us Home Fest, people that I spoke to, it's just like you guys you're great storytellers in your lyricism.
Thank you.
I always fucking gravitate towards, like, I love bands like that where you've got like melody, but you still can just like, blow your socks off too with just guitars and the bass and everything else. And truly, like, it's funny to talk to, because I think, a lot of singers that I've met over the years too, it's just like, you guys are pretty chill. I don't get it. It's like the minute you guys step on stage, and that's how it was that day. Like, you came out and I saw you side stage, right? Like, you were just chit chatting. I mean, and again, this is your job. So it's like, love what you do, but your side stage, you're just like, you're schmoozing, doing your thing. And like, the minute you guys hit the stage, it was just like wall of sound. And I was there for it. I was just like, great. I was texting Chuck and I was like, dude, there's because it was the first time that I had actually seen you live. I'm sure throughout the years I've seen you at somewhere along the way. But it was like a dedicated, like, okay, the Flatliners are here. I can see that.
That's great.
And but the crowd just loved you guys. And
it was a fun show.
Yeah.
I'm happy it sounded good. That's mostly to the credit of our sound engineer, Dustin. Maybe not as much the band, but he knows how to make it sound good. I mean, you tap into a different, I think I can speak on behalf of the whole band. Like, as a unit and as just a singular musician in a band, like, you tap into a different mode. Like, you could be feeling like shit. You could be sick. You could be tired. You could just be not into it. I mean, you're a human being, so you're going to feel different ways every time. But like, leading up to the stage, I mean, but like, there's just a mode you can tap into that just kind of like, it's hard to describe, but I love it. Like, it's just like this fifth gear or something that just happens, There's something about doing what you're doing with your friends, sharing this like kind of musical moment in front of people, you know what I mean? Like, it just puts it in a new light, and it just, I don't know, the adrenaline really takes over.
It's fascinating to watch, I think, from my lens, and I'll share with you too, because I've photographed over the years like a ton of bands, and I used to do two things. I used to photograph the crowd super quick, right as the band was coming out, and I still do that because I think it's what you guys are seeing, and I don't ever get to see that. So I'm just like, quick snapshot. The camera around, and very early on for me, there's a photographer, Glenn Friedman. I don't know. He, I mean,
legend.
I had oh my God, I got to meet him like years ago. He's fucking brilliant, right? But he was the gateway for me in the way of like what I do. And there's a quote by Henry Rollins in his book, The Fuck You Heroes. And it was really the catalyst for everything I'm doing now. And just capturing that raw energy. And so hearing you say that, that's been a question that I've asked repeatedly in my brain because,
Oh,
because I'm
that's
just
cool.
like, because it's like you guys get up there, or girls or whatever, and it's just like, and it's just like a switch, and
Yeah.
it's so instantaneous. And I will say this because we are getting older as well. I mean, I go to one show and I need like a couple days to recover, right? You guys are like back to back generally if you're on a pretty lengthy part of your tour.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How do you maintain, I guess, because it just blows me away that you can push up that much energy night over night over night and really just keep up with it. Like it just fascinates me.
I mean,
Caffeine.
short controlled bursts. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Really. Like
Okay.
I think that's the key over the years. Like we're older now. We're not as young, which means like the partying can take its toll. The show
Mhm.
itself can take its toll. The
Yeah.
traveling can take its toll. Sleep, this is like the most boring thing, but like sleep is like just the greatest thing for you as like a human being. Like sleep and water, you know what I mean? Like
It is.
those are
Yeah.
two things that are kind of sometimes hard to come by on the road. So it's kind of funny. You're almost operating at a deficit, like in terms of like what your body really needs. But the reality is like we're at a show every night, but we're not like out in the crowd every night, like hanging out. And like we kind of squirrel ourselves away to like muster up the strength sometimes to do it all the next night. So it's not at all like born out of a like no desire to meet the folks that are fans of our music. We still do that every night on tour, and that's a big part of what we do. Like, because imagine playing a show every night where no one shows up. That sucks. You
Yeah.
wouldn't do it for very long. So
No.
like there is that mutual respect, I think, there between us and the folks who've been supporting us for 2 weeks or 24 years. But really, it's just like it's different for everyone. To answer your question, but I think for me, it's just like a routine, like trying to just keep like I almost try to think of it as like what an athlete would do to like prepare for like a game or this season now. You know what I mean? Because it's just like it can be relentless. It's very physical, whether you want it
Yeah.
to be or not. And like especially with aging and doing it more or just as much, your body every year is like less equipped to really do this
Yeah.
unless you put in the time and effort and kind of the energy to like combat that and just like give it what you can, and also be kind to yourself because you're a human being and things can go wrong.
Of
That's a
course.
big part that it's taken me a long time to learn that. Still
Yeah.
actively learning that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of us, right? Yeah, no, I know. I always see like Laura Jane Grace. I'm a huge Against Me fan and a fan
Yeah.
of hers, and she's always working out like
Yeah. Yeah.
endless. But I mean, it does. It takes a lot of stamina,
It
especially.
does.
My
So the way
God,
she sings, oh my God.
oh, well, and you,
Yeah.
you're like just full on, just giving it, right? So, well, let me kind of segue into the new record too, because that's a big
Sure.
deal,
Yeah.
and it's fucking great. It's a
Thank
great
you.
record. It was
Thank you.
incredible to hear you guys live. And when you look at the evolution of the band too, is there, because sonically it feels a little bit different to me. Like, of course, you've got the very early inception of the band that's like a more ska ridden,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then, compared to even your last record to Cold War, I mean, you can see the thread of the fabric through there, but it just feels slightly different. So of course, it would be different. I know it's not, a novel thing, but like, I guess where were you guys at? Because the world is like a dumpster fire. I mean,
Yep.
like
Big time.
there's so much.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so it's like, there's, the Canadian perspective. You guys are up above. US is just a shit show around the globe. And not that we need to get into politics because everyone's, I mean, aware of really what's going
Sure.
on unless you want to speak to that. But how did it sort of, like, how did the themes on the record sort of get informed by, I mean, really the life around you? Because everything is just so crazy right now.
Yeah, well, that's really it. Like, how could they not have influenced like what we were gonna write about, especially lyrically? Like, this Cold World is the kind of direct continuation of where we were at with New Ruin with the last record, and we've never really done that before. Just meaning like thematically, what all these songs are about. They're about a lot of the same things when you really distill it down than as what we were singing about on the last album. And that's basically like, you got one planet, you got one shot at life, and you're going to ruin it by being a racist asshole or
Yeah.
like a sexist piece of shit or just like completely decimating the planet around you. Just these issues that have just like Eve just gotten worse, it feels like, unfortunately, since we put our last record out. So I don't know. I will say that like I'm always more drawn to writing about the darker parts of life and like the more challenging corners of like being human, I guess. For me personally, writing lyrics for the band like definitely helps
Yeah.
keep me as a actually pretty positive person, because I have this to just like shit out the bad, but make something good out of it. You know,
Yeah.
I really do feel like that's what we're doing. And if these songs can be an escape for people away from all the crazy stuff happening in their lives or just like the world around them, and they're a product of their environment, or it's a place where they can go and like dig into these issues and like think more about them and express and process their feelings more about these things, both can be true. You know what I mean? I know what these songs are about. We as a band know what these songs are about and this record's about. It's still open to interpretation because it's music, you know what I mean? And it's art at the end of the day. So I just think that, um, a long time ago when we first started, there was a shift in what we were writing about early days, right? First record is a lot about the world around us because we were in one place looking out elsewhere to see like what was going on in the world around us. We're also suburban teenagers, which apparently there is no group of people that is more marginalized and victimized and just fucking, than suburban teenagers.
That's great.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I really like the sheer word count alone on our first record would lead you to believe that I had a lot to say about the world around me. Now, most of that's a joke. Part of that is good. You know what I mean? That us as kids, we were able to like think about this world around us and we had the outlet to share how we felt and had people like kind of like champion that and like be like, keep going. Then we start to tour a lot. And then a lot of the songs become about like the despondency, the distance, but also like the unity and like the friendship and the brotherhood and the sisterhood of just touring and getting to travel the world and see the world. And now we're adults and we're faced with the very very real case of like, oh, like we're part of, if there's a problem and it's at the hands of humanity, we're part of that problem.
Right.
So we should maybe be part of the solution.
Yeah.
Maybe our way of trying at least to be part of that solution is to like talk about these things, write about these things. So I don't know. It's always going to be that way with our band. I think there's a lot of darkness in these lyrics, but if it serves as some kind of either like respite or a place to just fucking unleash, you know what I mean? Those feelings, cool, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what great art does. I mean, at any juncture of like a crazy time in history, right?
Yeah.
I think it's an artist's job to
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, I guess not everybody would feel that way, but I
think so too, though.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that leads me into one other question. I know we're getting well over the time that I allotted.
That's okay.
So, I guess I was curious to know, and thank you for the extended amount of time.
Yeah, you got it.
Every band, I think that I've, well, not every band, but there's a lot of bands that have noted certain producers that they would like love to work with. And I mentioned Laura Jane Grace, and I know Against Me, like Butch Vig was like a big one for that band, right? And she's gone on record as talking about it religiously. Is there a producer that you either have worked with that you were like, holy shit, like they've produced some iconic record that you now get to work with? Or is there somebody that is kind of like your, pie in the sky kind of producer that you guys would like to work with in the future?
That's a great question. We, over the years in the Flatliners world, have kept the production element of things like pretty tight, meaning like we worked with Steve Risen on our first like bunch of records. We met him when we were teenagers and made our first record with him. And then we made The Great Awake with him. We made Cavalcade with him. We made Dead Language with him. So our first bunch of records. And then we worked with our friends Peter and Derek on Inviting Light, and learned a lot, because that record essentially became like, it's weird because we kind of slipped into it. We were so close to it working on it. We didn't realize maybe how like different it sounded compared to some other records, but I'm happy we did it because it was basically like a punk band playing like, let me back up. It was like a punk band working with Peter Van Helvoort, who from Teenage Kicks, and he's in the Glorious Sons these days. And he's just like this incredible songwriter, musician, friend of ours from Canada, he's just amazing. He's more than this, but he's like, if you distill it down, he's like the fucking rock and roll guy. He fucking knows rock and roll, and his judgment is impeccable, and just, it's great. So we had Peter and we had Derek Hoffman, who has a studio in Toronto called Fox Sounds, and he does, again, many things, but one thing he does really well is like pop music. He's gone on to work with Arkells and JJ Wild, and who is he working with lately? Shit, I'm forgetting. But anyways, just like kind of more pop centric. So we had this like really cool culmination of like worlds, because we're the punk band in the middle being like, we have these songs that like we think are cool, so we're going to make a record, and we have a rock guy and a pop guy, to completely devalue the rest of their existence. But that's what we're going with. Rock guy, pop guy.
Got it.
And then we had this cool mix of just like processes and stuff. So anyways, all that to say, when we get to making New Ruin, or 2 records ago now, we kind of felt like we trusted ourselves. We learned a lot from a couple people along the way. That's not to say that we wouldn't turn around and be like, let's work with this person, but for the last 2 records, us as a unit, there's been a really clear vision. And then I also have the afforded confidence from my bandmates to like they're cool with me taking the wheel of like the executive production, let's call it. You know what I mean? I really love making records. It's ironic because I kind of used to hate making records.
Really?
I just put a lot of pressure on myself. I think I don't like wasting people's time. So that's how I feel now about it. I don't know if that was always the reason, but I like would kind of just be nervous and just like, I would just get a little anxious in the studio, but now I love it. It's been years since I felt that way. I've loved making records since the Flats' 4th record or something, and this is record 7, and I've been able to make other records with other people in between all that. So there's no clear name that comes up, because like in this world of music, and especially in the Flatliners like ecosystem of that, like we have such a clear vision of what we want and like what we can accomplish, that like so far the last couple records are like, let's just kind of we'll just do it. We'll just put it together. Right now, all this to say, this is all leading up to the fact that I've also been able to, with a different band, work with one of my favorite producers of all time, Brian McTernan, with Hot Water Music. Jeez. So there is this lesson that each record teaches you, or I mean many lessons, but like I think each record has like a main focal thesis statement in terms of like the material. And I think that the process of making that record also has a main lesson it teaches you. And each one I've been able to make with Brian McTernan, 3 records now, I've learned a different lesson. Along the way of those major lessons are these tiny mini lessons every single day, everything we're doing. It's just this incredible learning experience that like, he's a musical genius, and he has this passion in him that like, he just hears stuff and pictures stuff and envisions stuff like immediately. It's like, it's incredible. So like, to work with him and to work with Hot Water Music on these records, there's a lot of collaboration and a lot of like urgency. Which like typically with my experience with writing music before this all happened in my life, like Flats would be like, we'd be like squirreling away in a jam space together. You know what I mean? It's very solitude based kind of writing, either as a group or individuals. And then we bring the ideas together to the group. So I think like, it's hard for me to come up with like, that's the person I still want to work with, because through working with Brian and with these people who have influenced so much of what I've done with Hot Water Music, being these people, and then now being invited into that fold, I've learned so much from those guys. And then I add that to an already very steady, very solid, almost telekinetic understanding of each other that I have with the Flats guys. The Flats guys are my childhood friends. Like I've known these guys longer than I haven't, So So like it is just like there is a really tight knit thing there that happens like in like the trust in one another for writing music and putting records together and whatever it is. So I don't know if that even answers your question, but it's
Well,
like I love talking about this because it really like the roots have like spread so wide, but
mhm.
like those the roots have spread so wide from like only a few seeds being planted, right? But like all those little mini lessons throughout all these years of making records with like just a handful of people have really like allowed that stuff to grow.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible to hear. I mean, because, I will admit that that's more of a recent thing for me, like in the last, I'd say, decade, where I'm really paying attention to like who produced that record
Yeah.
because it's an art form unto itself.
Totally.
The
Totally.
band is one thing. It's a collaborative thing. So it's also very fascinating because I was just watching. I'm obsessed with certain things as of late. I like spiral down the rabbit hole, and I'd watched an interview with Linda Perry of all
Okay.
people,
Yeah.
and so she was talking about that sort of defining moment of being a musician versus a producer and really just having to pick one or the other, right? So it's
Yeah.
curious to hear yourself where you're like very much a musician, but you're also
Yeah.
producing. So it's like different hats. And then you also have a band, a full band that you've been playing with since you were a kid, and then your solo stuff, right? Which is
Yeah.
it's very you. It's a very, for lack of a better word, it's still very on brand for Chris
Oh,
Cresswell.
cool. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But it's not surprising sort of, that you need another outlet because you are quite the lyricist. And I think just from
Thank
talking
you.
to you, like you're very introspective. So that filtering through too, I mean, you hear it in the Flatliners and then, your solo stuff is completely different. And then I would think, collaborating and playing with a band like Hot Water Music, that is, there's a lot of lore around that band
Totally.
too, right? For especially
100%.
people in our age range, where
Yeah.
it like that was the band, man. Like
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and Chuck Reagan is just he's so lovely. Like I
Yeah.
met a number of times and yeah, and you talk about marrying just like lyricism and storytelling and it's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, quite the career you've had for sure.
Thank you. I mean, I really appreciate it. I feel like these days with the production versus musician thing, it's hard to find the time sometimes to
And
do all of that because it's all very consuming, and I mean that in a positive way of like so much love and passion and energy goes into this kind of thing, right? So like working with Chuck Coles on his album, for instance, like we've been chipping away at that mostly due to like my schedule. So I have a very supportive and understanding and very talented friend in Chuck Coles that he's like, I want to do this with you. And it's
Mhm.
okay if it's going to take longer than we want it to. The reality is like almost every single record ever made takes longer than you want it to.
Yeah.
We might be encroaching on like, we might be breaking new ground on it taking longer than we want it to, but it's going to be worth the wait. But I just feel like
Excuse me.
I want to always be working on music. It's the thing that makes me feel the most like myself.
Mhm.
And sometimes, maybe more often these days than a few years ago, um, just because I've been afforded to make so many records of my own or with bands that I'm in, and stuff like that, that like with all these lessons I've learned from other very talented people, I want to kind of share that with people. You know what I mean? So with Chuck, it's one story. With there's this really great band from Oslo called Exploding Head Syndrome, and I was able to work on a record with those guys last year. It came out the same day as Cold World, actually, which was pretty funny. It had a little double release day for me, which was pretty exciting. But I got to, we worked remotely for a long time on some song ideas, and then I was able to go to Oslo for about a week last fall and kind of like finish the record with them there. And like, it's just like, I don't know. I just love it so much. I can't, if I'm able to like keep working with folks and keep like finding the time to do
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to do. I really love it. And I just think like that's what the kid in me that like wanted to start a band and wanted to like play music forever, like that's what they'd want me to be doing,
Yeah.
is like chase it, keep
Oh,
chasing it. You know what I mean? It's not always easy. It's a lot of the transferable skills you learn from being in a band might surprise people, but like
mm.
meaning it's not all like glamorous and it's not all just rock stardom kind of shit. It's really not. But
No, it's
but
very
it's if I can spend my time doing the thing that I love and it can like kind of evolve into having, making records with other people, part of it, like that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I was gonna sort of touch on what you just said too. Like I remember having a conversation with someone years ago, and I won't name the band because it was kind of a weird combo, but it was like, you usually have someone in the band that's really responsible for, travel plans or the non-glamorous stuff is
Yeah. The
right.
boring. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is. I think, just there's elements to it. If you want to be successful in anything, you kind of have to do the boring stuff as well to enjoy the
Yeah.
fun, cool things. But well, I guess this is sort of a good stopping point. I've got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
'Cause I don't want to take up your entire day.
No problem.
So I've got a question here that I'd written down, so forgive me because I'm actually reading this one. You guys are kind of at an interesting point where some people pretty much have grown up with the Flatliners, and now with your latest release, it's like, we're at the Sing Us Home Festival or you're touring, all over the place. You kind of have a new wave, I think,
Yeah.
of fans. So you're at that point in your career. So I guess for you, again, I've got a couple different questions. This is one of the bigger ones of, how do you sort of see that, like when you're out and about now? Like, do you see like these sort of fan bases colliding where you've got like the diehards and you've got people who are like, holy shit, I've just heard of you, because that's a thing still too. So
Totally.
yeah.
It's funny. Like it comes out, the most evident way it comes out for us on the road is seeing people in the crowd go off for like the newer songs. So let's say like Cold World, New Ruin, Inviting Light, the last 3 records. So that dates back to 2017, but still like there's a pandemic in between. So give us a break. But like seeing like people gravitate towards like the last 3 records live gives us an indication of like these may be newcomers to what we're doing. That's cool. You know what I mean? And then we will try our best to kind of hit most, if not all, of like the pockets of like our discography in a set if we have the time. And then you can always tell like the old heads are like waiting for like something from the first record or two, from Destroy to Create, from The Great Awake. It gets more and more rare that some songs from those records are busted out live, because it gets tricky when we only have 7 records, but it's when you try to hit a bit of each album in an hour set, it can be kind of tough. So, and we're also like really loving playing our new songs, because that's why we put a new record out.
Right.
We want to. We want to play those songs. So we're lucky for that though, because like you said, like I think a lot of people have grown with us. You know what I mean? So as much as maybe the old heads waiting for that old song of theirs that they really love, hopefully that happens during the set for them. Like it seems to be the case that a lot of those same folks are like, yo, I really fucking dig this new song too. We're very lucky for that. Like the response to this record has been like overwhelmingly positive. Overwhelming. Thank you. Like overwhelming, truly. Like the week it came out, we were like, what the fuck? You make this thing in like solitude. Like I said, like we make these records in secret. You know what I mean? Like we don't really, people back home know we're doing it, but like we're not really like going on Instagram Live in the studio, because that record's not going to come out for like a year. People are going to forget you made that record. So it just feels like, why tease people that far out? So we kind of have this like big secret that we hold on to for a long time when we've like made a record. It's been like that for years and for many records. For all of a sudden, overnight, it goes from your big secret as a group to the whole world, quote unquote, whoever wants to listen. Like it's a pretty big deal. So to have people in the crowd being down with kind of both sides of that coin, 24 years deep, is pretty great.
It's wild. I mean, it's incredible. Just again, like that you've spanned 2 decades like that. I mean, you're not an old guy. You know what I mean?
I feel old. I mean,
well,
fuck, if cat years and dog years are a thing, I think road years probably are. I think we all feel older than we are. Yeah.
When you're on the road that often. Yeah. Well, so I've got some rapid fire Canadian questions for you.
All right, cool. Yeah. Do you?
I'm like, I have to. I mean,
yeah.
All right. So ketchup chips are all dressed.
All dressed. I hate ketchup chips.
Really?
Yeah, I hate them.
Sacrilegious, but I'll take it. All right. So butter tarts, raisins or no raisins?
I'm going a raisinless butter tart.
Same. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this one was weird. I can't lie. I'm like, is this a thing? So maybe you can confirm. But poutine, traditional cheese curds or shredded mozzarella?
I see the benefits of both. the cheese curd gives you the illusion, even if you're in like Regina, that you're
Yeah,
having like quintessential, French Canadian poutine. You're
right.
not. It's just squeaky cheese they like trucked over there. The shredded mozzarella, you can get more cheese in every bite.
Agree.
So I know this is rapid fire and I'm blowing it.
No, you're okay.
If I had to choose one or the other, I gotta go OG because that's the standard. You know what I
Dude,
mean? But there's no wrong answer with that one.
I agree. Cheese, yeah, potatoes and gravy. It's like it's the way to go, right? All right. And then as a fellow Canadian, I already know the answer to these. Well, this actually, but for our American listeners, because this will
Yeah.
broadcast on a radio station out of New Jersey.
Yep.
You know, what's your take on like Canadians being super polite? Like, yes, no. Do you think that's a thing? Do you think that's just a stereotype? What do
I
you
think
say?
there's a difference in being polite and being friendly. I think that Canadians
Okay.
can be pretty friendly people.
Yeah.
I think in friendliness, there can be this inherent passive aggressiveness, right?
Yep.
So I think that's where the polite
Yeah.
kind of, I think that's where the polite kind of stereotype comes from. Because I know a lot of Canadians who are passive aggressive as hell, and maybe myself included. I don't know. I just think it's like it's so funny. Like Canada is this place that is like right up against the big cultural juggernaut of the world, being the States, right? Like we're right there,
Wow.
and there are like a lot of similarities between Canada,
Yep.
the U.S. as people, as countries, all these things, good ways, bad ways, in my experience, but. There is a friendliness that exists in Canada. It's not that it doesn't exist in the US. It does exist, but it's just you can find it easier maybe in Canada than maybe you'd find it in the States. You're in Philly though. It's like Philly is quintessential like you're either going to get your ass kicked or like you got a friend for life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't mind that mentality of just like,
Yep.
just cut and dry, kind of like one or the other, for some reason it's just like that's part of why much earlier I was saying like Philly just feels like such an American place,
Yeah.
but no, I think that I think that it's more friendliness than politeness in Canada.
I would concur. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good way to sum up us as people. So, all right. Well, before we do wrap up, just can you tell us a little bit about, obviously you guys have had some US dates and
Yep.
then got a smidge, and I mean this with every ounce of grace because it's so small that you guys are kind of home for some rest, and then you
Yep.
are like off to, well, Europe. I think you got some California dates and then Europe, correct?
Yeah, we're doing California this week with Sam I Am, which would be great. We're going to do Europe in June. We do Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Sweden, Czech Republic, and then we're going to play a show and we're going to play a festival in Quebec, and then we're going to play a festival in Hamilton, and then we're going to play in Canada, and then we're going to do the UK in August. We're doing Western Canada in August with Propagandy. That'll be awesome.
Dang.
We're doing the Fest in Gainesville in October. We're going to do a tour with the Bouncing Souls and the Suicide Machines in the northeast of the States, and there's some Midwest dates. There's a Toronto show. There's an Ottawa show in December. Yeah, we're doing a bunch of stuff.
It's a pretty heavy
Yeah.
roster. I was looking at your website, so it was just, yeah, it's pretty
I'm
mind-boggling.
probably forgetting stuff too.
Yeah. Well, when I push this out to my audience, I'll definitely publish, and link to your website and everything.
Cool.
So, one last question, and then I'm gonna let you go. What's a Canadian band or artist? We've talked about Chuck Coles.
Yep.
So I'm super happy to promote him too because I love him and he's a great, amazing, talented musician and a good guy. Is there a Canadian artist or band specifically that you really kind of want to put our listeners on to? Because I do Canadian content as much as I can because there's a lot of great bands, but it'd be nice to hear from you
Oh,
yourself.
damn.
Maybe something
There's a lot.
do.
Oh, there's a lot of great bands up here, you know?
Are.
Damn, who do I choose? Who do I choose? I mean, that's tough to just whittle it down. I mean, like,
Mm.
you got bands like the Dirty Nil and No Bro, and I mean, everyone knows Pup at this point. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like blowing up. I mean, they're working their asses off to get to that point.
Yeah. Mets, I think, is another good one, right?
Mets, oh, they broke up like a year and a bit ago.
Oh, really?
Such a bummer. They put out Up on Gravity Hill what ended up being their last record, and like a few months later, that they called it quits. I love that band.
Yeah. So good.
There's a band that we're friends with that really work their asses off and just like sonically can do so much, and they bring me back to a certain time in my life. So like it's just this like great like kind of nostalgic feeling I get for hearing this band, even if it's like a brand new song they put out. But they're called Chastity. They're a
Okay.
fantastic band. And there's also my dear buddy in Northcote,
Okay.
he's out on Vancouver Island in Victoria. Matt and Steven from Northcote are great homies, and like they have a new record that is, I'm checking in real time. I think it comes out soon.
No
Let me
fake
check
news.
this out. Yeah, this is like I'm doing journalism right here. It comes out soon. Where is it, Matt? Where is it on your? It comes out June 12th.
Oh, wow. Really
Yeah, and
soon.
the record's called To Cherish. It's awesome.
They're such a good band. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're great, and like
oh,
I've
yeah.
been able to do some touring with both of these bands over the
Yeah,
years. So I mean, there's so many other bands that we could be talking about from Canada.
of course.
Is this funny place of just like immense talent, and it just sometimes stays Canada's like best kept secret, quote unquote, for some reason.
It's true.
But there's a
Yeah.
lot of amazing artists doing their thing up here, and yeah, those are just the first two that come to mind. They're great people too. I know that they all work really hard and like deserve people's attention. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
my goal with the show too. Like I'm in the tri-state area, but I mean, I think people in Philly, Jersey, and New York kind of have a good handle.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
spread the Canadian gospel. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been working with some people at Dine Alone
Cool.
specifically to just get the word out. Not
Amazing.
eat it, but I mean, just promoting. Like Canada's really good about that, about doing the
Yeah.
Canadian content. So yeah, it's fun for me to do that and say, hey, check this out.
I
You know?
appreciate it. We all do. One more I'll say is Smug. Smug
Oh,
LLC, which is Drew Thompson from a band Single Mothers. And
yep.
he has a solo project, Drew Thompson Foundation. He's doing some new shit called Smug, which is like pretty unreal. It's just him and a laptop, and like kind of
Right.
perfectly encapsulates maybe like that fork in the road. But before it became a fork in the road, let's call it like the coexistingness of like when I was getting into punk and getting into hip hop at the same time when I was like a kid. It's just
Mm,
got that like that similar kind of energy of just like those two vehicles riding right alongside each other.
I dig
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's been an incredible over an hour chatting with you. And no, seriously, no.
Likewise. For real.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was my conversation with Chris Cresswell of The Flatliners. I just want to say a huge thank you to Chris for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. Their latest record, Cold World, is out now and streaming on all major platforms. But if you're like me and you still buy records, you can grab a copy directly from The Flatliners' official website. And don't go anywhere, because coming up next is a playlist that's built around the music and bands that came up during tonight's conversation. Before we wrap things up, though, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who tunes in, shares the show, and supports independent radio. Radio Garden State only exists because people still care about the music discovery, real conversations, and the communities built around them. If you'd like to support the station and keep shows like this going, head over to Radio Garden State and click the support tab, or visit Radio Garden State's Patreon. You can also find past episodes there anytime. You can also listen to Riot and Reverie Radio on the Live 365 app, or go directly through the Radio Garden State website. Make sure to follow Riot and Reverie on Facebook and Instagram and Spotify for more interviews, playlists, reviews, and underground radar picks. So, as always, thank you for spending a part of your night with us. I'm Elena, and you've been listening to Riot and Reverie Radio on Radio Garden State.